Hello, everyone. Welcome to Church Perspective. I'm so glad you're here. This is a place where we believe every step forward has purpose. Whether you're already on a faith journey or just starting to explore, I want to remind you today, your journey matters whether you're walking in faith or not walking in faith. Church Perspective is a place for everyone. This is not just a channel about faith and religion and sports. This is a channel about all of life's issues and everyday challenges. This is a community where we walk together, seeking meaning, hope, and practical guidance. So whether you're facing a personal struggle, a big life decision, or just curious about the bigger picture, Church Perspective is a welcoming place for you. But before we dive in, I just want to remind everyone that the views I share are my personal reflections, experiences, and interpretations, and life's journey. They're not a substitute for your faith journey or professional counsel. So as always, I encourage you to reflect, pray, and seek guidance that aligns with your own beliefs. And now, let's talk about today's topic. If Jesus walked into your church today, would he stay? That's a very interesting point. It's a very interesting question. You see, again, I'm going to ask it for the purpose of getting you to really think about this question. If Jesus walked into church today, would he stay? Let me ask you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. If Jesus physically walked into our church this Sunday, would he feel at home? If Jesus physically walked into your church this Sunday, would he feel at home, or would he quietly walk out the door? That's a very, very honest question. You see, today we're not pointing fingers. We're just taking a moment to hold up a mirror. Imagine the doors of the church opening. No announcement, no spotlight, no fanfare, just Jesus walking in. Not the painting version on the wall, but the real Jesus from the Gospels. The one who flipped tables, the one who touched lepers, the one who sat with sinners when religious people wouldn't or didn't even have the desire to come into his presence unless they desired something or wanted to manipulate and control all of the various acts of goodness that he committed. Now ask yourself, would he recognize what we've turned his house into? Would he recognize the church? Would he recognize you? Let's talk about some things that might trouble Jesus. Would he see people more concerned with positions than compassion? More worried about who sits where, or who's singing, or who is ushering, or who is sitting next to who, or what are they wearing? Do I look good today? Do I look better than I did last week? Or would he be worried about who is hurting? Who is in need? Who needs to be uplifted? Who needs to be guided? Who needs to be loved? Who needs to be forgiven? Would he hear sermons full of information, but empty of transformation? Would he see a church full of people, but missing the broken people he came to see? Because Jesus didn't build his ministry around comfort. He built it around love, truth, and sacrifice. If Jesus walked into your church, would he stay? What would make Jesus stay? Truly, there are some things that we believe would make him stay, but is our belief good enough to measure up what would make Jesus stay? Here's the beautiful part. There are some things that would make Jesus smile, things that would make him say, yes, this is home. Jesus would stay where people forgive each other quickly, where the hungry are fed without needing an announcement, where the lonely find family, where the poor are not ignored but honored, where prayer is real, not just a routine, where worship is about God's presence, not the performance, where songs are sang and hymns are sang with heartfelt praise instead of wanting to be seen by everybody in the gallery. You see, Jesus wants real prayer. He wants real worship. He wants real forgiveness. He wants real love. Those are the things that would make Jesus stay. So the question still remains, if Jesus walked into your church, would he stay? It's a very, very pivotal question for our life's journey. Because you see, Jesus is drawn to churches where love is louder than politics, grace is stronger than judgment, and people care more about serving than being seen. A church where someone new walks in and within minutes someone says, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the house of worship. Welcome to our church. You are now family. We don't need to know your name. We don't need to know where you come from. We don't need to know what side of town you live on. We don't need to know what type of education you have. But welcome. We're glad that you're here. Jesus wants a church where everyone feels welcome. Not because it's a greeting assignment, but because it's who he is and who we are supposed to be. So the real question is, if Jesus walked into your church, would he stay? Or maybe the real question is bigger than what we've already asked. Would Jesus stay in your church? Would Jesus stay in our church? Maybe the question is, would Jesus stay in our hearts? Because the church was never supposed to be just a building. It was supposed to be us living and loving, walking examples of Christ. That's what the church is supposed to be about. Don't be fooled. If Jesus were to come to your church, would he stay? Let me go a little further. If Jesus were to go to your job while you're there, would he stay? If Jesus were to come to your home while you're there, would he stay? While you're driving down the road in your car, and Jesus decided that he wanted to hitch a ride, and you picked him up, would he stay? It's a real big question. But Jesus has already given us the answer. You see, Jesus has a desire to come to a place where he's welcome. And just like he's welcome, or should be welcome, we should also welcome others the same way that we welcome Jesus. Jesus walking through the doors. Imagine that. Looking around, watching how we treat each other, listening to our words, seeing our hearts. That could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing. But let's concentrate on the good. Because if all of those things were in motion, we would also see Jesus smile because he could recognize something that is so familiar, a welcoming spirit. You see, perfection is something that we strive for. And as we strive for the perfection, there's going to be a lot of things that come your way. But we have to understand that it's not always about us, but it is always about him. And maybe, just maybe, if we were to look more like him, we would be in more fellowship with him, more covenant fellowship with him, whether it be on our job, whether it be in our house, whether it be in our finances, whether it be in our health, whether it be in our talk, whether it be in our walk. Jesus is looking for some examples of Christ. And so today we're not pointing fingers. We're just holding up the mirror. And the question is, do you like what you see? Do you like what you feel? That's the same question Jesus would ask if he went to your church. Do I like what I see? Do I like what I feel? Do I even want to stay? I want you to know, each and every day, every minute, every hour, every second, as long as you have breath in your body, you have an opportunity to present yourself in a manner and a fashion that if Jesus was in your presence, he would have a desire to stay. So I challenge you today, if Jesus walked into your church today, what do you think he would notice first? What do you think he would notice first? And who do you think you would notice first if Jesus walked into your church? Let's ponder for a moment. A day, a minute, a second, an hour. Every existence of our life. If Jesus walked into your church, would he stay? I'm your host, James Church, and we're looking forward to spending more time with you. We're looking forward to just having a community relationship with you. And we would ask that you were subscribed to this channel. If there's anything that has been said today that would get your thoughts in motion about if Jesus would walk into your church, would you stay? Subscribe. Pass this on to someone else. Truly, it's a wonderful, wonderful question. But understand that Jesus is the answer. Until next time, subscribe. Looking forward to being with you. I'm your host, James Church, and this is the Church Perspective.